Our schedule will be kind of simple. We'll be having some guided meditation for about 25 minutes. We'll have a longer break than usual since we have these lovely cookies, about 10 minutes. And then I'll give a talk, and there's a final piece of the evening that I don't actually know what's going to happen. It has something to do with this being my kind of closing time in leadership in the Sangha. So I hope you'll all stick around for that unknown bit as well. So if there's nothing else, I think we'll settle in. And as we're settling in, a handful of us here tonight had the great fortune of being with Lama Willa over the weekend on her retreat. Yeah, it was really sweet. We spent a lot of time outdoors in the rain and the sun and the wind. And so I thought, just as we're settling in, as we're beginning to slow down, we can situate ourselves in the natural world, even if that's just in our mind's eye. So as we turn our gaze inward, we might have a memory from today of a strong wind against our face, against our hair. We might have a memory of being colder than we might desire, wishing we had brought a coat with us today. In our mind's eye, we might remember the special shade of green. And that happens just about now. It doesn't last for very long. And with this situating ourselves in the natural world, we can perhaps bring to mind a hint of gratitude for our natural world home, the ancestors, whether that might be our human ancestors, the ancestors of this land, both human, plant, tree, river, mountain, field. And sometimes this kind of acknowledgement of the ground, the very ground upon which we rest, can both personally and collectively ground us, connect us more deeply to the earth, and so we might invite whatever sense of settling is possible for this body. Sometimes it's helpful to notice the feet resting on the ground. Some of us may feel a sense of settledness, solidity in the area where our pelvis meets the solid surface below us. And I loved how Lama Willa this weekend described grounding as a practice, not necessarily something that comes easily or quickly, but a sense of rootedness and connection to the earth that is a result of energy, of time, of relationship with the earth. And so perhaps noticing how this sense of grounding in the body, settledness, either is accessible or may not be as accessible to us in this moment. Noticing with some curiosity and perhaps a touch of kindness as we relate to the earth, as we ask for a sense of steadfastness, stability, and ease within this body. For some of us, the breath can be of assistance in grounding us. We might notice that there's a little bit of settling that comes with each exhale. As the body releases, finds rhythm, opens up to some trust in this ground to support us. Many of us may have a practice of offering our attention to the breath in the body. And sometimes this practice of grounding is beneficial in allowing the mind to settle, almost giving us a system of roots that allow our attention to come to the breath. And if the mind has even a moment's ability to settle with just one cycle of breath before being carried off by a thought or a sensation, that's a really beautiful, beautiful form of attention that we're offering. Just one cycle of breath that we notice. And gradually, if there's room to settle on the breath for several cycles, there can be an appreciation that each inhale has a beginning, each exhale has a beginning. It's such a brief moment, we almost miss it. And then likewise, each inhale has an ending right before the exhale. Each exhale has an ending. And such a delicate noticing. There's almost a way to hold our breaths so that we don't miss it, don't miss this moment. Sometimes attention to the breath can give us a glimpse of the preciousness of these human lives. The gift of air and sangha and friendship. And so we'll settle into a few minutes of silent practice as individuals and as a collective here tonight. And as we near the end of this brief meditation period together, and just as we began our practice, orienting the body, heart, mind towards gratitude, if that feels available to us. We might mentally offer some gratitude to the earth home that fed, sheltered, and gave us water and air today. We might also offer some gratitude to the centuries of mostly Asian practitioners in the Buddhist lineage who have loved these teachings, safeguarded these teachings, and passed them down so that many may benefit today. And finally, we might offer some gratitude towards ourselves for taking the sometimes monumental effort to go back out after a long day, turn on the Zoom, and sit with ourselves however we are today. Thank you all for your collective practice. It's beautiful to see all your faces and imagine all the Zoom faces. We're going to take a 10-minute break. I am going to take the first cookie to encourage all others to take a cookie, except the Zoomers. Sorry, Zoom, we're really sorry. There's many of them. We might tell you about them after the break. It's a little mean, I'm sorry. There are still cookies left. Just an FYI. Yeah, everyone's saying yum. Thank you, Phil and Bev. And everyone who partook of the cookies. Hi, Joe. Good to see you. Hi, Antonia. Good to see you, too. And Eliza. Good to still have you. So as many, if not all of you know, I am closing a chapter in my life tonight. And so the theme of this evening is transitions, endings. I got a bit dramatic and said small deaths, but I'm gonna work with that tonight, so you can make your own decision at the end. I wanted to start off with a poem. This is from Walt Whitman, quite famous one called Continuities. Nothing is ever really lost or can be lost. No birth, identity, form, no object of the world, nor life, nor force, nor any visible thing. Appearance must not foil, nor shifted sphere confuse thy brain. Ample are time and space, ample the fields of nature. The body, sluggish, aged, cold, the embers left from earlier fires. The light in the eye grown dim shall duly flame again. The sun, now low in the west, rises for mornings and for noons continual. To frozen clods, ever the spring's invisible law returns, with grass and flowers and summer fruits and corn. That poem fit in really well with the way I wanted to open this talk, which was by, again, situating ourselves in the natural world. It is spring, undeniably, except it's also quite cold today. And in spring, we often think of beginnings, of course, and there are so many. But there are just as many endings if we really look at it closely. And when I was preparing this talk, my mind went to these red tulips that grow in front of my apartment. Also some hellebore that I got from someone who's here tonight. Some irises, daffodils, azaleas, dogwoods. I don't know about you guys, but as I've gotten older, I have such excitement about the first daffodils, the first tulips. Right now we're in iris season, at least in my apartment. The peonies will come soon, I hope. And I have to be honest that along with that excitement and the looking at them every day, I feel a real sense of sorrow when they go. Especially these red tulips, I don't know what it is about them. They're just so vibrant, and then they're not. And especially those azaleas right now. I don't know if anybody's got some in their yard, but they're just kind of brown, right? After the vibrancy of the pink and the white. And so I have that experience, and I'm seeing nods, so I know that others of us do too. And yet, this poem, Walt Whitman, says nothing is ever lost, or can be lost. Sounds like one of those paradoxes that we love to work with in Buddhism. Nothing is ever lost, and yet there is this experience of loss, of endings and transitions. In some Buddhist traditions, we ask some tricky, pesky questions like, who is the me that is losing something? Where is this me? And those questions are really useful because our self, this me, can be quite elusive and illusory. But there's also this reality that endings are really hard sometimes. Transitions are hard. We've had many transitions in our Sangha in the past 18 months. And it's not just big transitions. Sometimes it can be little switches of identity, moving jobs, children growing up, leaving the nest, going to college, leaving college. And then there are the more marked, difficult endings, sometimes losing a pet, losing capacity of our bodies as we age, losing loved ones. When we really contemplate how many endings and transitions are possible in life, I think it becomes a bit stunningly clear how little we are in control of our lives. Sometimes that can feel terrifying and ungrounding. And so tonight, as I personally mark a transition in my life around leadership and the Sangha, I was looking for some way to allow us to have a collective journey around our relationship to endings, whether that be a personal relationship to endings or our relationship as a spiritual community here tonight. So if you're willing, and this is definitely just an invitation, I'll invite us all to spend a moment bringing to mind some kind of transition or ending that you've worked with in your life. This might be an exploration that you take a deep breath with. Notice if there's a particular sphere of endings that comes to mind. Perhaps an ending of a relationship, ending of a relationship with a home or a friend. Perhaps a relationship with work, and professional identity, a relationship with our bodies. And if there is some kind of ending or transition that comes to mind, there's an invitation to notice the body. Notice if there's any sensations, any even very subtle hints that come up. And the body speaks in really beautiful yet quite subtle ways. And so we might notice the belly, the heart, the breath. Noticing if there's any clues there for our relationship to this ending that we've experienced in our lives. And then next, there's another curiosity that might arise around any kind of emotional landscape that is present for each of us around this transition or ending that we have in mind. There are infinite ways to relate to endings. Sometimes anxiety, sometimes deep sorrow, sometimes busyness, distraction, sometimes laughter or anger. And just as much as comfortable for each of us, noticing if anything is present in the emotional landscape. And then we'll take a couple deep breaths. Again, notice our feet against the floor. Maybe thank ourselves for taking that journey if there was some difficulty in that journey for us. And coming back to the space. It can be a really powerful practice to become aware of our relationship to endings. For myself, I find that I hurry through them. I'd rather they go by quickly. I also try to avoid them by prolonging contact, if possible, keeping relationships. And to kind of juxtapose this, perhaps more deep inquiry, if you're willing, I'm going to offer a second, more playful inquiry around endings, kind of tie us back to the present moment. And this does not involve closing your eyes unless you really wish to. I'm really curious about this. I want us all to think back to this morning and contemplate if there was a moment in time where you noticed that the time of sleeping was over. There was an ending to the time of sleeping. Does anybody remember that moment? Yeah, okay, there's some of us. Some of us might not. Some of us might just sail on through that one. If you did sail on through that one, I'm curious about the next one. For some of us who are coffee drinkers, I wonder if there was a last cup of coffee or even a last sip of coffee that we might have taken notice of. Anybody there? Couple? Okay. We've got two more. One is, if you're not a coffee drinker, perhaps breakfast. That last bite of breakfast, did we notice that, or did we? Yeah, okay, again. Great. Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm sad about that. And this is one I'm really curious of because I never notice it. Was there a moment when we noticed that morning was over? That it was day now? I'm sure that could be different for all of us. Did anybody note that in their minds? Yeah, a couple. Great. It's an intention of mine to think more about where we are in the day. Yeah, I bring this up and kind of juxtapose it with the more deep inquiry because I do think that they're connected. I think that our relationship to endings is present with us throughout the day, whether we're aware of it or not. And I think it's also very true that for each moment to arise, another moment has to end. So I was kind of reflecting on my meditation today. Attention to endings gives us just a glimpse at times into the preciousness of our lives. Makes me very cognizant of the fact that this moment, with this group of folks, this weather, this will never happen again. Each of our breaths, each of our moments is new and not replicable. I'd like to share another poem. This is called Bird Wings by Rumi. Your grief for what you've lost lifts a mirror up to where you are bravely working. Expecting the worst, you look, and instead, here's the joyful face you've been wanting to see. Your hand opens and closes and opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding. The two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as bird wings. This poem has stuck with me for several years. That metaphor of a fist or a hand closing and opening, closing and opening. Before I read that poem, I had never thought that an open hand is just as paralyzed as a closed fist. And to me, the metaphor is really poignant in that we need the open fist, the expansion, the beginning, the growth, the thriving, just as much as we need the closed fist, the contracting, the rest, the retreat, the pause, the loss. In Buddhism, we have a lot to learn about letting go. And for me, and for many of us, I know the practice of working with death has been really important for all of us. The Dalai Lama mentions often, even wrote a book called Advice on Dying, that working with death daily is one of his greatest practices. And so as I begin to kind of wrap up this talk, I wanted to share a practice that many of us may already work with, but one that's been very honestly challenging and yet very motivating for me. This is called the 5 Remembrances, and I'm going to recite them to you. As I do so, again, I kind of would invite us all to be curious about our bodies, what our bodies are saying as we take in these words. So the 5 Remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I have ever loved is of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My actions are my only true possessions. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. As I've worked with the 5 Remembrances, as I know many of us have, sometimes they don't seem real. Sometimes it seems like we're not talking about me. Sometimes it seems very real and terrifying on a very deep level. Times I've been sick, times I've been in periods of loss or distress. At times it has also felt correct, just very right. This is the way of the world. I am not special. So as I am actually wrapping up this talk, I think I'll close by saying that endings can be infinitely difficult. And I wonder if on some level, even the endings that are the last cup of coffee, the ending of a shower, walking out the door in the morning, I wonder if our bodies know on some level that even the small endings are us working with the large ending, that is us facing our own impermanence, our own final chapter. And so, of course, it would be difficult for us to sit with ourselves as we endure the most difficult losses, the most difficult endings. But it might also be true that by being with ourselves in the smaller moments of endings, the endings of those red tulips, we are building stamina. We are building our ability to be present for ourselves, present for others at the endings that are most difficult. It has been one of the greatest pleasures, greatest privileges of my life to serve in this Sangha for the last 4 or 5 years. I first walked into Java on September 20th, 2016. That's where we used to meet, Java. And I became who I am because of this community, who I will be. So I'd like to take us out with a poem by my very favorite poet, Mary Oliver, and then I will give a very deep bow to all of us here today. So again, I'll ask you to open our bodies, hearts, and minds to what is one of the truest poems that I've ever read. This is in Blackwater Woods by Mary Oliver. Look, the trees are turning themselves into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of the cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime comes back to this. The fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us can ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. Thank you, friends. Blessings to us all. May we all be very well. Maybe we'll just take a moment. I think there is another segment to our night together, but I'm not in charge of it, so I'm not sure. Phil.
Thank you, Liz. So I'm Phil Dupont. I'm the vice president of the board, and this is the acknowledgement and appreciation segment of the evening. And I first want to acknowledge, I was sitting there thinking, well, maybe if I don't go up there, Liz won't leave. And I thought, I don't think that's going to do it. So the acknowledgement is a proclamation from the board of the Insight Meditation Community of Charlottesville, scribed mostly by Darby Maley. So thank you, Darby, appreciation. In recognition and appreciation of distinguished service by Liz Reynolds, whereas by resolution adopted by the IMCC Board of Directors honors her service to the Sangha. Whereas Liz Reynolds graciously volunteered her time and expertise to IMCC in the following ways. So this is going to take a while. Found, hired, and introduced several guest BIPOC Dharma teachers to the IMCC community, including Leslie Booker, who has become a regular teacher for IMCC in 2023. Created and led the Young Adult Sangha. Co-managed multiple IMCC residential retreats. Completed teacher training within IMCC and then taught regularly at the Tuesday evening Sangha. Served on the HERE committee for 5 years, 3 of them as co-chair. Served on the Guiding Teachers Council since 2021. Co-created and currently teaches the Sangha Leaders cohort. That's a little more than half of the things that Liz has done, just to let you know, we're getting there. Cultivated eco-dharma programs with other Sanghas, including facilitating 2 cohorts of participants through the One Earth Sangha Eco-Sattva course and an outdoor mindfulness experience for families at Wild Rock. I forgot. That's a lot. Facilitated 3 Sangha-wide book reads with authors and Dharma teachers of color. I'm not sure I'll pronounce this correctly, but Shinzing Han, Larry Yang, and Sabine Selassie. Participated in extensive training with Ruth King to become a facilitator of racial affinity groups, and then facilitated racial affinity groups. Now, therefore, be it resolved that IMCC's Board of Directors acknowledges and extends its deepest gratitude to Liz Reynolds for her dedicated service to the Sangha and notable contribution to IMCC's mission of expanding access to the Sangha, adopted by the IMCC Board of Directors on Thursday, April 27th, 2023. And so you'll notice that a lot of that proclamation involved the word serving, and most of the serving involved giving. And one of the main teachings in the Dharma is around generosity. And sorry, I gave the Dharma or the Dana talk for the Eco-Sattva group, and Liz got embarrassed. So I'm sorry. So in terms of giving and generosity, we as a Sangha now have an opportunity to express our appreciation to Liz via generosity for her giving of her time and energy, talents and skills, her heart, and the Dharma. All of this has been given to us freely. And so there's an opportunity for us to give back to Liz now. There is an envelope in the Dana bowl out in the hallway, and where you can leave Dana for Liz, and you can also leave Dana on our website. The imeditation.org has a way to give Dana, and you just have to, in the note, say, for Liz, and we will direct that her way. So you're very welcome. And I believe that Sharon is next.
Thank you. Nothing is ever lost or can be lost. I have known for weeks that it would fall to me to speak for the teachers. I still don't know what I'm going to say because your presence among us has been just such a gift. It has been an honor and a privilege for each of us to walk with you and share with you the many joys and sorrows of our days together, especially during COVID and all the changes and all the challenges. So we will miss you enormously and are just full of joy and delight at the teacher you've become, and we'll walk with you as your brothers and sisters and share your journey with just deep appreciation and great joy. So we will not forget you and all that you have given us, and wish you enormous good fortune and goodness in all of your teachings. I know that they will take different forms, and our world will be so happy to receive you in all those different forms. So thank you, dear.
Hey, Liz. Ooh. So Liz and I went through a lot together. We were aspiring teachers together, on the Guiding Teachers Council together. I already miss her. But I was thinking Liz has been such a breath of fresh air. And I thought we always think of nature when we think of you, that like the wind, you've been a breath of fresh air, and you've really brought to us a new vision of how communities can be. I love that. And then it occurred to me that, like the water, you've been a gully washer. You brought in all this rainwater in a stream that might have been getting a little slow and stodgy. But then, like the earth, you've been solid and reliable and hardworking and wise. And all the while, like fire, you've brought a lot of warmth and care and loving relationships to all of us who have been friends of Liz's, and I think it's most of us. Just such warmth. And when we thought of you, when teachers were talking about, what can we do for Liz? We all thought of nature. We all thought of, everybody suggested, what if we did something that would be more permanent at the Eco Dharma site at Riverview Park, and then we thought of Phil Schroed's beautiful benches overlooking the river. Phil built those, and they remain. And after a consultation with Phil, we found out that it would be possible to dedicate one of those to you, and that he would help us do that. Wow! And so, and with and Matt's magic with words, just know that a bench at the site overlooking the river will say, for Liz Reynolds, steward of the earth, from her IMCC family, and then a quote from Mary Oliver.
No way.
Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Oh.
Love you.
Gosh, that's a surprise, Matt. Thanks. And Phil.
Take this to Matt.
Oh.
So I'm Matt. I'm on the board. I'm not going to say things that have already been said, but it's been wonderful, Liz, to most of all have you as a good friend. I want to read a letter from the Young Adults Sangha. The Young Adult Sangha was able to share their appreciation with Liz during April's Young Adult Sangha meeting at the Riverview Park Rock Circle. While Young Adult Sangha members were not able to attend this evening, we wanted the greater IMCC community and Liz to know how special that time was to us and how special she is to us. Liz created YAS, Young Adult Sangha, from a place of creativity, wisdom, courage, and, all caps, love. Last Sunday, we were able to really feel into this connection with Liz through words, food, gifts, and the natural world. Members continue to share how welcomed, again, all caps, they have felt in the YAS community, and we really leaned into that awareness of belonging as we celebrated Liz's transition from leadership. We are so grateful to her gift of the YAS, a place that continues to lean into what's here, what's needed, and to the love all around. We look forward to seeing what she taps into next. Liz seems to have a way of deeply aligning to what matters most, and we cherish this about her so much. We love you, Liz. Shannon wrote that.
Good grief.
So we wanted to, we have about 10 minutes remaining in our time, and we wanted to kind of open it up to see if anyone in the room or on Zoom wanted to share. We do have a closing chant of sorts that we will share with you at the end, so we want to save a little time for that. So yes, anyone in the room? Jiggity.
You know this is remarkable because I don't like to talk in front of people. I know, I had to do that fast before. I don't really want to say very much because I don't like doing this, but during my time at IMCC as a employee of IMCC, I always referred to Liz as my partner in crime because I would always get some crazy idea. They're like, who'll do this with me? And I'd call up Liz, and invariably, it didn't matter what it was, she'd be like, yeah, good idea. And somehow we would usually make it work. So, and we have a wonderful relationship outside of IMCC, so that's all I can do at this. Thank you.
Hi, Liz. I'm thinking about, I remember the first time when you came to IMCC. I mean, I remember back at 2016, and I've just watched as your life unfolds and your contributions unfold. I'm just been so moved. And I just want to say, wow. I remember talking to you one time, we were out at Serenity Ridge, and it was quite near the beginning when you were here, and you said, you didn't know just exactly where you were going, but you were really listening to feel, and it was scary. And look what you've done. Thank you, Liz, and so many blessings for however it's going to open for you in the future. Yeah.
Don't be shy. Helen.
but I am shy and I'm very tearful. You're such an inspiration to me, and I love you so much, and I'm so grateful for your friendship and your teachings and your groundedness with nature. But the most of all is your sense of joy and play and that laugh that is just stays with me. And I've loved hearing it tonight, and I'll hear it in my mind forever. Anyway, thank you, Liz. Thank you so much.
Do we have the ability for folks on Zoom to share? Oh, wonderful.
Yes, I just have been so touched at Liz's ability to connect. It has meant so much to me as I have gotten to know IMCC and felt that connection with you and the natural world. Is just thank you.
Thank you so much. Teresa.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Liz, hard to express in words what your gifts to the Sangha have meant over the last number of years. And I'm particularly grateful for your nudging us in so many new directions, and pushing us at times, which has been wonderful. It's been a joy to watch you unfold in so many different ways and expand the sense of possibility. And just deep gratitude to you for all of that over these years. Thank you.
Liz says thank you, Teresa. Bill.
Liz. I don't know if I can add anything to everything all these wonderful people have said. And I'm not usually one for a loss of words, but I kind of am, because I'm just overwhelmed by the impact you've had. I came upon a phrase a couple of years ago that I'd never really heard, about a certain kind of leader, a servant leader, somebody who serves the mission, the goal with gusto and heart and perseverance, and I can't think of anybody that I've met more than you that embodies that principle. So thank you for teaching us all what servant leadership is.
Yeah, so I'm aware I am physically standing between you and cookies. So maybe we'll move into our final offering of the evening.
You know what it is. So
So we have practiced this exactly one time. Okay. You don't want to hear this too loudly. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
L is for how much we
we
love you. I is for the insight shown by you. Z, Z is for the zillion things you did for IMCC. Like creating a young adult sangha because you knew there was something missing in a predominantly gray-haired sangha, and persevering when it took so long to get people, and even raising the age limit for participation because you were determined and knew that even a little younger was better than just old, and succeeding in creating a vibrant, cohesive younger sangha that sounds so great that some of us gray hairs are thinking of getting fake IDs so we could join you too.
And your commitment to creating a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive Sangha by so many of your actions, like recruiting guest teachers of color and leading book reads by BIPOC authors and training and teaching
Racial affinity groups. Bringing your love and commitment, caring for the earth, and promoting awareness of the climate crisis by the many, many, many things you did and continue to do through eco-dharma offerings. R is how is for
how much we're really, really, really going to miss you, Liz.
That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It was beautiful. Oh, that was the best dedication of merit that could have ever happened. All right, with that, everyone, may we all be well. May we all be very healthy. May we all remember the power of community. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you on Zoom. I hope you heard that song. That was... Thanks, guys. And cookies. Take more cookies. And have a good night.